This is a quick overview video of the latest release of Momentum, the version that I shipped last night on Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. There's really two major updates within the app. The first one is essentially the sprint structure is now a function within the app, inclusive of scoreboard. You can see that here. And then I'm also going to focus on some inline editing capabilities within the overview section of the cards, so where we do most of the work. So starting from the top, I'll go ahead and close this and just show what it looks like. The sprint scoreboard has a header, and that header includes the identity, which is nice and bold, so you know exactly why you're here. The sprint goal is right below that, so it just describes what your active goal, what you're striving through in the 2-week sprint is about. And then you have the beginning and end points, the duration of the sprint itself. Below that, we have these metrics, essentially 3 tiles that give you some feedback in terms of where you are in the sprint, starting with the day based on your goal. So whatever cards you have assigned to the sprint, they're totaled up as sort of an hourly goal. And then as you progress through and add time, focus time towards those, we start to fill in this and show you how much time is left. You also have a sprint total goal, so you can see what your progress is over the 2 weeks. And then we have essentially tracking of the day of the sprint. So I'm on day 2 of mine with 12 days to go. If I open up the card header, I can see any cards that are assigned to the sprint that are for today. If I click on any one of these cards, I can actually open the full card and I can access it and start working on it. The tracker modal and everything still works the same. So you can still run the timer. Everything is tied to the card. You can also add time manually. If I add time to a given card, it also will update the scoreboard tiles. I mentioned inline editing. So now instead of always having to open the edit card form to change any of the detailed properties around a given card, I can now do this inline. So any one of these fields are selectable. And this is true for mobile as well as for desktop. So if I want to change the card type, I can just do this inline. If I want to change the start time, I can do that as well. So it's just very quick, saves you some cognitive load and clicks of having to go through to access the other form. And it just helps you move more fluidly through the app. When it comes to creating and editing the sprints, the form is pretty simple. Really the key thing to know here is that you can set the days of the week that you're going to work on it. You can also decide what the goal measurement is going to be. So everything will calculate off of this in the scoreboard. But if you want to measure by day, by week, or by sprint, and then you can set your hourly goal. Within the sprint scoreboard, you can add new cards. So the nice thing here is if you do add a card here, rather than using the plus button up above in the header, it will automatically populate the identity and the sprint. So it just saves you from having to enter those. And because of the inline editing, you can actually just enter a title and the type, and you can create the card. So you only have to really enter 2 fields to create a new card from this add function. Whenever you click on any one of the cards, as I showed earlier, it brings you into the focus mode for that card. Nothing else has really changed here. A couple things to note is one is that you can run one sprint at a time. So when the sprint ends, so for me on June 10th is when the sprint will have been over. If I jump to the 10th of June, I basically don't have the scoreboard anymore and I can start a new sprint at that time. So that kind of summarizes all the changes for this particular release of the software. One thing to note is that I will be working next on essentially cleaning up the timer tracker. Right now we have 3 different timers. I'm going to consolidate these down into basically 2. There'll be a stopwatch and there'll be a countdown timer. The Pomodoro one will essentially be a dynamic feature within the countdown timer. I'll also fix the settings here. Right now, none of these work. So the only thing that populates is 25 minutes. If I set it to 60 and I save it, it still saves at 25. So I'll fix that. We'll simplify this. And then the other big change is going to be Google Calendar integration. So the goal is going to be to enable any sprint that's assigned for whatever days you assign it to actually send an appointment to your Google Calendar, and it'll set it hopefully for that time when you're planning to work on it if you set a time of day, in addition to possibly a link or maybe some details about the sprint, just as like an in-your-face reminder on your calendar that you have this goal and that you want to track it here. And that link should take you back to the app and help get you right in there to start working on it. If you have any feedback, any thoughts or questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email, LinkedIn, whatever channel works best for you. And thanks for your time, and thanks for working with and trying Momentum.